So it's such an honor and truly a privilege to be here with our newfound Seattle fam. You know, we got some collective justice in the house. We got some restorative community pathways. We're coming from our screening yesterday at Washington Hall, which was a beautiful, phenomenal experience. And it's really an honor to share space and break bread with y'all. What we have found is that, you know, y'all are a network of folks who are really doing the work at, like, you know, with some of the highest intentionality that we've seen, like, across this land, and the way in which y'all are interconnected and support each other and are plugged into each other's work is something that we admire, honor, and want to, like, dig deeper in. But before we, you know, just kick it and fellowship with each other, I want to kick off with our question for a few folks that we haven't talked to today, and just to ground us in this time right now, and define time however you will. But in this time, how is the world treating you, and how are you treating the world?
Yeah, okay, so the world is feeling scary right now. I think a little overwhelming and almost hard to hard to process, frankly. I keep thinking about, like, the thing you said a couple months ago around, like, those are the moments where hope is the most important. Like, when things are hard is when we have to dig in and find hope where we can and keep going. And I'm also trying to practice grief as medicine. That, like, I can't control everything, but I can grieve it, find the, like, gift in the grief of it, and then create enough space inside of myself to keep going. I guess I'm trying to treat the world with compassion and care.
Like, I feel so much gratitude to be free. Amidst all of the chaos, what I can tell you is when, like, the last election in 2016 happened, I was in prison and everyone was worried about what was going to happen because the way that it had been framed was like, man, the world's going to melt, you know? And so I just have, like, this immense gratitude to be free and in a community of care. And then I'm comparing that because I know we've got brothers and sisters that are still incarcerated that are going through those same emotions. So I feel like the world is like continuously blessing me. I feel extremely grateful. You know, I'm doing my best to slow down and appreciate the world. So much about how I've been is in my head, not in my body. And when you live the life of survival, it's like just trying to navigate instead of taking time to appreciate the eagles that I see flying. I love birds and I like crows and watching them fish, like being able to slow down and really appreciate that. And so I think where I'm at now is, like, I am really at a place of wanting to, you know, practice that gratitude, being grateful for the blessings that are given to me, but also reciprocate that, you know.
I'm fortunate. I feel fortunate to be free. Feel fortunate to, you know, have a home and a garden. To have a political home, to be part of a community, and that feels good. And also the chaos around, you know, the violence, you know, that is surrounding us, always feels hard. It always feels hard. We got to meet with a bunch of folks talking about movement and politics this last week, and it was, the world felt too big. You know, the violence felt too big. So the way that I'm treating the world is I'm trying to remember that we are all sacred, to be in ceremony, to water my garden, be in conversation with folks, to learn more, grow, make space for grief, and anger. Make sure that I locate myself within the movement and make sure that I'm doing my part. It's going to take a whole lot to catch me up on the politics of the day, like, and how we organize a community in that way. But like having a political home where I can organize folks and doing deep healing work and understanding systems of oppression and trauma and being in survival and our nervous systems and changing the narrative about how we are experiencing the world and how we're surviving the world.
I feel like the world wants us all to feel like kind of helpless and like scared and have a lot of like fear and just kind of be like all over the place because things feel all over the place. But for me, I feel like grounded in the fact that like, these things have always been happening to our community. As someone who believes in abolition, it's, I think this is a moment where it's like, what are our principles? What do we, how do things line up or not line up? And then just also really thinking about like all of the Palestinian people right now and what they're going through. And I think it's easy for us as Americans to like not think about foreign policy or how things are connected, and just knowing like the trauma we feel here, people abroad feel that, and like, we're like, this is community and we're also part of a larger global community, and our struggles are connected. So just feeling very like hopeful in the sense of like what we can create, what we can learn. Like wanting to get in the garden and learn like how do we grow our own food, how do we make and tie-dye our own clothes. All these different things. Like, there's so much power within us.
Cassandra, how's the world treating you and how you treating the world?
I think the last year has been a roller coaster, and so I have gone to a space in life where I choose what I digest. So I don't watch the news in any capacity ever, because I like to choose into the information I'm given, because I have to find for myself a healthy balance between the world being on fire and living my life. And I find you can't do that if you're constantly in spaces where you're being fed whatever narrative, the channel that you're watching is feeding you. So I feel like the world feels hard a lot. It feels hard to balance happiness and what the world being on fire, but I think I'm doing my best. I took my grandkids to Montana, to the middle of nowhere, and they rode a horse for the first time. So that feels like a healthy, like they're 3 and 1.5, and we just went horseback riding.
So what I'm hearing is really rich, right? Like I'm hearing notions of grief, notions of gratitude, notions of slowness, but also how do we control the information that we're engaging? How do we reconnect to our ancestors? And I want us to like ground in y'all space a little bit. And we're gonna get to entry points a little later, but coming out of how I'm hearing the world is sitting for y'all, I want us to pinpoint moments of celebration or moments to celebrate. And so you've been in the work, been doing the work, been committed to these transformations. And with a little bit of zoom out and a little bit of food in your belly, I would love for y'all to think of moments or projects or anything in y'all's history in the space together that you would love to celebrate. And if even in that, like, affirm someone else at this table.
And I don't know if it's biased or not, I ain't gonna lie. But I think like Matt and Martina and holding Aaron and I circle, that for me is like, that's a huge moment of celebration. Being able to just flow with them guys in a space that brought so much peace. Yeah. I'm super grateful for that. And I'll say, Cass, shout out to you. I'll say a moment of celebration is seeing you knowing how to own the spaces that we're in together, like our heal space. You know how to lead. You know how to identify where we're at, where we're going, what we need, and pivot. and you stand in it, and you stand in it vocally, and you stand in a way that invites others to come along and to like dream bigger and have higher hopes and like collaborate and really make it what we need it to be. So I'm super grateful for you.
I want to pick off that, and I want to pull Matt and Martina back in, because y'all introduced us to Tyra and Aaron's story. And just, and being honest, it's one of the most amazing and heavy stories we've ever learned about. And so we got to hear from them what it meant to go through the process, what preparation looked like, and the impact that it's had on their life and their work. And so for y'all sitting here now, having told us this story close to a year ago, just what does it feel like? To be in this space together, to keep moving the work forward with these folks.
I feel like it's normal, which is I think what's special is like it doesn't feel any different than any other day. Like we're in space together a lot. Not always all four in this way or with this intention, but we get to see each other like a fair amount, and I think that's what feels good about it, is that it's not novel.
I would say like that was a moment, a beautiful moment that we got to share with you guys. And also like, like there was like 15 years before that we had a relationship, and then like years since it that we've had in relationship. Like we just did an RJ 101 presentation for 50 community members. Tyra and I, we just did a restorative justice 101 for like 50 community members. Was that like 2 weeks ago or something? Like, and we've had, yeah, and then we brought Aaron in with the grounding, and it's like that moment should definitely be celebrated, and I feel like we have so many more moments to celebrate with each other, and yeah, it feels good to sit in lockstep, with everyone at the table, and especially with you guys, especially, a man who I looked up to that, helped raise other men in prison like me. And a powerhouse like Tyra who, had been sitting in schools with our young people, doing the work. I mean, it sounds like since the beginning, like the beginning of time. And so deeply in community, and yeah, it's special. There's been so many more moments, and there's so much more that we're doing. We were just in a meeting with 7 different organizations doing, youth diversion work that he is leading. To be able to sit with him in that work, there's so many moments that we've been able to share since and before.
And I think that's like the thing that I feel like I learned the most from working with y'all, and that you kept teaching me time and time again, which is like the process is a process about a specific moment in time. But you all were like whole people before and whole people after, and we get to like be in the complexity of all of our humanness. And I feel like you tap in and check in on me and facilitate me as much as I facilitate you. You're like, how you doing? You need anything? You need help? You're struggling? And like it's super reciprocal in all directions.
Right. Aaron, I want to pull you back in, because this is now the second time I've heard Matt specifically use the language of like, you raised him. And so one, I want to talk about the idea of nurturing at large, but then two, to hear someone honor you in that way, because that's like one of the most sacred processes you could to raise a human. And so seeing him raised now, what has that journey been like? Does that resonate for you as like what that process was? And like talk about y'all's relationship now with all these years later.
To be honest with you, like the way that I was brought up, like I really had to be in a certain way. And in the beginning, especially with the setting that Matt was talking about inside prison, it was really ugly. And I let a lot of God, even at 17, 18, 19 years old. 17 is when I first got sent to the Walla Walla State Penitentiary. And I was just basically a baby. And I was leading other kids, other men in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? And I did for many, many years. But coming in, you know, like going off of what I spoke about this morning, that change that I had and trying to change things and trying to be different and not even realizing like all the different elements and the words that we put to it and identify it as now, not even realizing that's what somebody was doing, you know, has, I would like to hope, has set a ripple effect to other men, young men in those spaces where the words that we talk about, like patriarchal and toxic masculinity and harm, is, you know what I'm saying, at its highest peak. And it's really taboo to go against that grain. And some folks get hurt going against that grain. And in all honesty, I also, when you talk about celebration, out, you know, not just the process that Tyra and I had, but like one of the first things that clicked in my head is, you know, how Matt said, I raised him. I feel like coming home, the celebration of coming home, Matt kind of raised me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. Like being brought into this space, into this work. You know, Devon and I knew each other before as well, but all the folks that I've gotten to meet and build relationship with, be in community with, and get supported by, like, that's another celebration for me, like, because I've been supported by every single person sitting here in some way, shape, or form that has been so huge and impactful in my life. And if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here this moment.
Yeah.
You know? So I think I kind of look at it as Matt has now, you know, so Martina said, reciprocated that and has raised me.
Yeah. Wow.
You know?
Wow, that's so powerful. Dev, I'm gonna come to you. And like, y'all really are family, and I'm not gonna lie. If somebody would tell me the three of y'all was like brothers, I feel like y'all really locked in. Y'all starting to look like each other. I don't know if y'all recognize that. but Dev, I would want to bring you in of like, you know, if there's moments in the work, and particularly folks here you want to affirm that like comes up as something you want to celebrate.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I'm celebrating right now is being able to go back inside of the prison. For 4 years, we haven't been able to hold our heal circles, which is like the original process that we created and held. And when COVID hit, that was taken away. And like we were building a lot of momentum, and the vision was to get these circles in every prison because we knew the power that restorative justice had. So to have that again is it's just encouraging, and I mean I'm excited every week to go to the prison. And Lupe isn't here, but Lupe is another one of our peers, our community members who really fought really hard to get that, and I want to honor them. But yeah, I could, you know, everybody in this room, whether it's like not even being on the outside of hearing about the circle process with Aaron and Tyra, and just the courage that it takes to engage in that. You know, people hear things in theory, and or you think about RJ in theory, but then when you see it in practice, and then actual relationships are mended or created, and they're real. You know, like the fact that you could say it's normal, but in most people's mind, this is unthinkable, and this is genuine. And then just seeing like the depth, and I've known Matt and I came into this work really together, and to just see how he's excelled at being able to hold space and be in his body. And Martina being in community with us while we were in prison and building a vision with us, and not trying to co-opt it, take it, but actually honor the vision of both community members who were survivors and wanting something different, and prisoners who wanted something different, and making that happen is like magic. And so like, yeah, I have so much gratitude. and Nikhil. Like that's our voice in the background when we start moving, and they're like, hold up, we need an analysis. You know what I'm saying? We talking about black liberation. What are we talking about?
What did the boys say?
You know, and you need that. You know, you need that for real, because it's easy to get caught up in groupthink or knowing that we're doing amazing work and then giving ourselves passes and moving. And so and so it's just like, I really appreciate what that brings. Even if we have to slow down, then we have to get into arguments and we get into conflict, and it doesn't feel good, but when we come back together, we're tighter. We're tighter and we're clearer, and like that's what makes this work last. And then Cass is like she's like the community mom. Like she's sharing, like Tyra said, you know, like is highlighting her leadership, which is real, and also she's the nurturer. You know, and so to know that you have everything you need in this circle, in this community, and there's folks that aren't here today, but they also contribute. And so I think the fact that we are able to actually create the community that we want, which is what RJ is like getting right with yourself, getting in equitable relationships with each other, and then building an intentional community so that we can actually practice accountability and we can create the conditions we want so that we can all thrive. Like that is what I like to celebrate, right? It keeps it, you know, it keeps you hoping, it keeps you building. And then, like I said, the fact that we get to go back into these prisons with the vision of continuing to build this out, because the hope is that we can get brothers and sisters to come out with the language, with the practice, like with the practice, not just the, oh yeah, I went through a program, but I'm actually practicing this. And what does that do when they go home to their families or when they come to this community? Like that's the culture we want to create. So yeah, I get excited about, I do works, I building out workshops, and like we talk about all the time is not wanting to center CJ, but we want to elevate restorative justice and transformative justice and make this not a thing that's imaginary or some
fringe idea.
Yeah, fringe idea, but like these are really alternatives to what we've been conditioned to believe is all we have when it comes to how we address harm. Like it don't gotta be punishment. That's not, you know, that's the one tool we've all been conditioned to think we got, and we fell for it. But like we know better now, so let's let everybody know about it. You know, you want to get on the mountain, like, hey, there's something over here. You know, we got something over here. You know,
got some food and water.
Yeah, and the more people that come, like the stronger the community gets, the stronger the movement gets. So, yeah, I'm just really grateful, you know, for everybody. I celebrate everybody in this space.
I think, like, just like everyone, I could go around this table and affirm everybody sitting here and everyone not sitting here, like, over and over and over again. I think the thing about this community, not just CJ, but RCP and L2J and everybody who's not here, like, when we say that we are a community, we are a family, like, that stuff is really real. It's really real in the work, but it's really real outside of the work too. Like in my personal life, in other people's lives, like life happens, your life falls apart, and these people right here, they pick you up without even being asked. Like they're picking you up off of corners in the middle of the night. It doesn't matter. Hypothetically, so I've heard, it might have happened. But but it's really real. Like, and I see it, you know, I work with Tyra in the heal circles, and I see it in like the participants too, and the way that people come into that space and trust the facilitators. Matt's facilitating the heal circle, and the vulnerability, the trust, the love, like they trust us to drive up and scoop them up off a corner too, even from day one when they walk in, because that is just, we eat, sleep, and breathe really what we say, really what we do, really how we move. Like it is really about each other. It is really about a relationship. It is really, I'm not the only parent at this table. Dev likes to play, but he's really community dad. So, yeah. I mean, it is just, I had a conversation with somebody today, and they said, like, with all the stuff you do, why are you still here? Like, aren't you exhausted? And I really said, like, if I worked anywhere else, I would not still be here. I would have left, because I am so exhausted all the time. But I know that when I'm exhausted, even if I need to just stop in the moment, I can like look right or left. I don't even have to say nothing, and they just know. They just pick it up. And that is not just in work, but just in life. That is so rare. That is so, so rare that I can't even put it into words, but there is so much love in this room, outside of this room. I would not trade it for nothing. I would work here until I can't work anymore and work in this community. I don't even live in Seattle anymore, and I still work here because that is how powerful this group of people and the other folks that aren't here are.
I'm gonna pull a seed out. It's been referenced, but Dev really tapped in it, and it's a big buzzword everywhere, but especially in movement space, the notion of accountability. And so obviously in TJ and RJ work, oftentimes we're thinking of extreme moments of harm and conflict in community, and how do we build the skills to like rectify what's going out in the world. But I think a thing that folks struggle with and could benefit from is learning more about how actually accountability operates within our spaces. And so with y'all as folks that, work to embody and have now, if I do the math, it sounds like thousands of people have learned from y'all about what transformation, restoration, healing, and accountability looks like. You've referenced that showing up with y'all with each other. I'm curious if y'all have like moments or recollections or feelings about what it means to be proactively accountable with your comrades in your political home, with the folks you're struggling with that folks on the outside don't get to see every day.
I think just wear raggedy too. And I would start by saying,
I mean, first of all,
like, I don't think it does the movement any service to say we're exempt from all of the systems of oppression that live inside of our movements, that live inside of ours too. And that we often move quick, fumble, harm each other, sometimes go right past it, other times look back way later, and then have to start repairing. So I think, like, in our definition of accountability comes from the work of Danica Bornstein and Shannon Perez Darby, who were two anti-violence advocates that worked at the Northwest Network. And that's like where our frameworks grew from. They've evolved. But the idea of accountability that we work with in our work externally, and we're trying to embody internally, is the concept that like accountability isn't something you do to someone.
Right.
That's punishment, right? Like that's an external force that someone can passively receive, despite how painful it is. It's passive. And that accountability is an internal process first and foremost, that like self-accountability is the stepping stone to accountability in a relationship. Like I can't be accountable to harming Tyra if I'm not able to like calm my own nervous system enough to even track what the hell I'm doing and the impact I'm having, or to even hear what the impact is, right? Like if I can't sit for that, then there's no way I can move toward accountability. But that it ultimately is about like me doing what I need to do to be clear about my values, to be clear about our values, our expectations of each other, and then that I am tracking the like gap between those values and my actions. And there always is a gap. Like always, like none of us are ever going to be imperfect. If I miss a meal, like if I skip lunch, my afternoon's gonna be wild. You know, like that gap is getting wider. I'm gonna talk crazy to my loved ones. I might need a nap, right? Okay. Whatever it is, if I'm not taking care of my basic needs or I'm not well, I'm going to cause harm in little and small and big ways. So like the practice is not a practice of perfection. It's not about like we're always doing all the perfect things. And when we add in other people in the room, there's always going to be conflict. There's always going to be harm. And so what we're trying to do is move with that assumption. Like we know we will do that. And then once we know that, then like let's have the systems in place and the processes and the expectations in place to give each other feedback, to like be able to tell each other when we're out of line, and to make a plan for accountability moving forward. And I would say like the practice is accountability. So it's the practice that we're looking for. And there are seasons in CJ, I think, where we've really been in practice, and there's seasons where we haven't. I feel like we're coming out of a really hard year, and for lots of small reasons, I'm like, we're in a hopeful moment. We're all like, okay, yep, we're like locking back in, and that's like, that is the work of accountability.
Where are you locating that hope?
I mean, I think one thing that's like unique to CJ is that when we go through it, nobody leaves for the most part, right? Like, I'm like, why are we all we're all still here. I mean, in the moment, some of us leave in the moment and then come back. Sometimes we have to welcome people back a few minutes later. But I mean, leave, you know, like, and so we're just starting to get, like, we're a baby org, but we're just starting to get grown enough to see those seasons and to like learn those lessons and start tracking themes. Like, oh, we're kind of conflict avoidant. We love each other so much. We're in so much deep relationship that sometimes we're like, I don't want to tell you about yourself because I just want to like stay harmonious. So that's good. Like now we just started to be like, okay, that's our shape. So what does that mean collectively? And to just be able to step back and name that is going to help us move forward. But we're in it. Like we're not exempt from it. We have deep conflict. We have deep harm. Some of those conflicts get resolved. Some of them do not. But I think the one thing that we have is like a real commitment to keep practicing. Like we're just practicing all the time.
Anybody want to jump in on that commitment to practice?
Yeah, I think it's easier to do it and to move into it, especially after you see conflict happen, or you may go through your own frustrations and may have conflict, may have a disagreement, may yell at each other, may do all the things, and we come back and it's still love, right? And so, you know, so much of life has been about, it's real though, like so much about our lives is that we were disposable. When relationships didn't work out, they were transactional, and when it didn't benefit whatever person or whatever circumstance, we were disposable. And then when we're creating this space, folks aren't disposable. There's always an opportunity to come back into the space and work through whatever happened, right? Whether that's formally or that's us just having a conversation on the side. And when that happens, for me, it makes it easier to say, all right, like, yeah, there might have been some contributions from others, but what was my contribution? So now when I can take the time to figure out what my contributions were, now I see the gap. These are my values. This is how I'm showing up. This is how this impacted them. Now I can do something a little bit different. And I know that I might not get it today, or I might go, what I said, you might do, if we're practicing. So I might make 3 shots out of 10.
I saw you getting your form. I knew that's where he was going.
You know, it's like some days I might go 3 for 10. Some days I might go 10 for 10. Sometimes I might go 5 for 10. But the point is, like, we're all in this space where we can keep playing the game. Nobody's getting kicked out the game. And so when that's possible, then accountability is possible. The way I look at accountability is different, because it isn't what my past relationship with accountability was, which was punishment, isolation, shame, all those things. Like, you don't have to feel that. And then now it's like, okay, yeah, I screwed up right there, and he still loves me. What? Oh man, okay. Come on, let's work through this. So it's like that's the magic. And I think people overcomplicate it. I've overcomplicated it, and you know, perfectionism is real in this society, and all these things that tell us how we have to show up. And then it's like fear, I'm not doing it right, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, and especially like in a work environment too. Like you're taking a community, but you're also adding professionalism and all that other stuff, and that's just another layer of like trying to show up, wanting to show up well, and messing up, and having to come back to the group and say, man, I messed this up. And people were like, it's all good, don't worry about it. What?
We had a retreat last summer, and we had a newer staff member. And we were talking about, I think there was like real critique that was on point. Like, you know, when a new person comes in, they can see things that the rest of us have like defaulted to or gotten lazy around, or like, we're like, we know that because that's in our history, but we aren't like staying rigorous and committed to it and affirmatively. So all the things, and there's gaps. So there was conversation around some of those things, and the person got frustrated and got up and just stormed out. And the rest of us are like, we're sitting in a circle and we're like, we kind of look at each other. And 2 of the staff members went up after them and was like, we'll go talk to them. And they went out. And when the person got up, they were like, I'm through, you know, and like got up and stormed out. And then the other 2 go after them. The rest of us are just kind of sitting in silence. And we were like, do we keep going? Like, none of us want to keep going without this person here. None of us want to talk about what just happened because it feels like we're talking behind their backs. So we're all just kind of sitting there. And like, I would say 20 minutes go by, probably. Does that sound right? And they just come back in, all 3 of them, and sit back down. And they're like, all right, so do we like do a circle about that? Or it's like, how do we RJ this? And I think, well, actually before that, like the person walked in, and I think you were like, get your ass in here, come on back, and then we just circle right back up. And I feel like that's like, to me, that it's like you can look back on it fondly, and also it feels like symbolic of how things sometimes are. Like, it doesn't mean we don't have explosive conflict. It doesn't mean we're not in disagreement.
For me, I come to collective justice like not having a restorative or transformative justice like background or lens. Yeah, like healing and stuff, that just doesn't sound good to me. You know, like, yeah, a lot of like, I feel like a lot of like what motivates me is love, but also like anger for injustice and stuff. And so I've kind of been like resistant to healing because I'm like, I don't want to get rid of some of the anger that I have. But I'm a participant in the BIPOC Femme Circle with Cass, the lovely leader. I don't think like this was part of our own plan for ourselves, you know, like I don't think we really imagined that we would be here today, right, in this space, doing this work. So I just feel like really blessed, like that I'm here in this work, and I've like learned so much from everyone at this table. And I think about, you know, trauma. We all have this trauma, and I've been like learning so much, especially like recently, like how, you know, some of the way I react to things or respond to things is like trauma responses. And just like, and you know, unpacking that trauma is like really hard, and because I feel like a lot of things that I've experienced or gone through, like I've just packed it away so that I can like continue with life. And so like unpacking that, it's hard, it can hurt, but also just feeling a lot of like just growth and wanting to be better. And you know, I'm someone that walks away and I think in my life just like feeling abandoned from when I was like a kid, I think one of my responses is like, you know, people don't stay in your life, like people leave. So I'm like quick to just like, okay, I'll cut people off, or I'm like always ready for like a fight or having to defend myself. And like here, people don't throw you away, they don't leave you alone, they don't let you walk off, you know? And that's like really new. And it's like, it's so much easier to just be like, F this, like I'm out. It's like, you know, it's work and practice to be like, let's unpack that. And like, I was telling Dev one time, like, you know, also when we're talking about accountability, like there's a lot of shame in like, I've harmed someone or I've hurt people. And often like I find myself like mad if people are mad at me, because like this perfectionism of like, we have to be this good person and that means you don't hurt people. And then like you do things or you react to things and you might not have the intention to hurt or harm people, but like that's not the impact. And like the impact does matter. And like understanding that impact and you know, being accountable to it and acknowledging it doesn't mean you're a bad person. You're no longer perfect, you know. And so just like learning a lot about that. And
you're still deserving of love and community.
Yeah. And kind of what Cass was saying last night at the on the panel with you, even just, I feel like a lot of us, we hold so much and we're like, we want to give back and be reciprocal to other people, right? And bring them with us and take them with us. And sometimes it feels kind of bad or selfish to like take care of yourself or pour into yourself, you know? How Cass was saying, like, that's so hard to like actually practice the like self-care. And I'm just kind of learning, like, we have to be well and good in our own selves, and it's easy to, you know, look at the outside, but we have to like do the work internally, and I feel like CJ is helping me do that. Because that's not something I've really valued.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really beautiful, and that honesty, I think, helps us move the conversation to where I want to go. Because what I hear from what you're saying, and it rings true, is like our society, these systems of oppression, the structures that shape our identity and sense of self, create these trauma responses and these attachment styles that really are antithetical or incongruent with collectivity and with community. And for many of us, that is a difficult practice. Like, before we get to the organizing one-on-one, or before you get to the tools of the circle keeping, just being able to recognize that within yourself, but then also recognize and have compassion and hope that that's what other folks are going through, because oftentimes that's showing up with an intensity that is difficult to maneuver and like shows up in really intense ways in our body. And so I'm interested in this notion of like scale and proportion of harm and conflict, because there's this interesting dynamic I've recognized in movement spaces, and it's really crystallizing in talking with y'all, of, you know, the work that so much of what we do is about the most extreme and intense structures of harm that are so big, and the work that y'all do is, you know, literally at the intersection of life and death. But at the same time, like, the small little microaggression tensions that we feel can sometimes show up with the same intensity as the most harmful things that we can imagine. And so I'm curious for y'all, does that one ring true? And I want to unpack that a little bit. Like, does experiencing things inside or being in community then help y'all put things in proportion? Like, actually, this is not this big a deal. Or is the compounding of having to, you know, pour into so many folks then make like even the smallest drop create these moments of overflow? So yeah, what I'm saying is, like, shit sometimes don't be that big, but then it shows up super big. And how do y'all understand or process that?
My own experience with conflict prior to being in circle was in prison and was in the streets. And so conflict meant serious violence, potential loss of life. And the problem with that, I'm saying that because the problem with that was, we might be in space and there might be a smaller conflict that was really big to somebody else, and I may overlook it. Like, it's not a big deal. When in reality, it was, and it's not getting the attention it needs, and then it grows, right? And I'm just oblivious to it, because I'm like, that's not conflict. You know, that's a different.
You don't feel good.
Exactly. You know, that's real, and it's. I think that's my own growth is being very attentive or mindful of people's feelings, right? And intention and impact and all those things. So I definitely think, for me, there's been times where I've overlooked it. I try now to be more mindful and, you know, ensure that I'm giving folks the attention and acknowledging things that happen to them, even if I'm not involved. Even if it's between, like, what role can I play to help, you know, amend the process or to keep communication flowing?
What I was used to being inside, or before I went to prison, was, yes, if it's conflict, it's worth fighting. It's worth fighting over, and that is the answer. Like, you will be violent over it. That's how things were handled, and in coming home, like, it hasn't set me up for success, because, like, what has happened for me, and I'm working on it, is that when there is conflict or when someone lets me down or we aren't fulfilling our commitments to each other and being in relationship or expectations, I don't feel, in the past, I haven't felt equipped to have those conversations and to continue to be in relationship. And that has been very, very difficult. That's been very, very difficult, you know, to be in conflict with someone. Yeah. And then, you know, if it's really a big deal, like you fight over it. And with the pace of the world, like you keep it pushing, you know, like if I'm working, you know, or whatever, family crisis, whatever, running from crisis to crisis, that makes it really hard. If I'm not well, if I'm not feeling into my own worth and my center, like, I'll skip over it. But then it just festers it's been a growing edge to be able to have conversations with people who I love and adore and respect. And also our relationship is like, it's not, oh, I'll die for you, I'll go to prison for you. Because that ain't the situation we're finna be putting each other in, right? Like
I'll send a long ass meeting for you.
How do we, you know, but those are my people coming home. Those are my people coming home who I love and adore. And that has been the expectation, you know? That was the expectation inside, that we'll take care of each other no matter what. And out here, like, we want to have healthy relationships, healthy lives, experience joy, you know, do all these things. And like, we're not putting each other in situations where, you know, I got this beef sitting out there, you know, if you see this guy, you know, get on him, it's on site, or, you know, or when I'm with you and then you get into this thing, I already know what time it is, you know, I'm not finna say anything, we're finna ride this beef out together and go to prison if we have to, you know. And like, we're falling, like, the people who I love and care, like, who are coming home, we are falling short in our relationships and our expectations, because that is no longer like the expectation. And the things that we are asking of each other is different, and they may feel like they're small or not worth mentioning, like you're saying, but they are worth mentioning, and that's how we stay in the right relationship. Otherwise, this shit just pops. And yeah, I've been sitting with that a lot. I've been trying to work that with my people a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I think, like the both of these two, you know, for me, same thing, conflict resolution with violence. I have a nickname that everybody knows me by, and I got that at 12, and now it's because of my extreme escalation of my conflict resolution. You know.
That's a beautiful way of putting it. That's the escalation of my conflict resolution.
I'm dead serious. That's how I got that day. You know.
Can we share? Is it off limits?
No, because folks still call it that. Big time.
Okay.
You know, I took everything to the extreme. You know what I mean? Like both of them said, the smallest disagreement, anything, you took it to the extreme. And I think even inside, you know what I'm saying, in picking up tools and learning and on my healing journey, I started to deviate from that, you know what I'm saying? And then not just through like, you know, learning things myself, but even in my spirituality and the walks and the practices that they teach in that spirituality, trying to come and have like, you know, and again, not even knowing what I was doing, like having that dialogue, right? And trying to have some healthy conflict resolution with folks. And even in my healing journey, conflict resolution with my family and my loved ones. And coming home, it's a lot different. I feel like I'm still in some baby steps of it. Because for me, I'm always wanting to try and come to a better place, no matter how minute or big, you know what I'm saying, the intent or the impact was, what came out of that, and how I felt or how you felt from that, and trying to come to a place of resolving that to where both sides are feeling better about that. And the reason why I say I'm in my baby steps, because I feel like there's been conflict that just is repetitive. And I almost feel like I'm at like my wit's end sometimes. And I even said it today, like, you know, it's assess, address, and attack. You know, I mean, that's where my mind, that conditioning always goes to. But, you know, again, Matt, Dev, being around all, you know, I'm constantly learning, constantly picking up things, and it's consistently made me better.
Like when we've had to survive trauma, and everyone who's in our work came to it because of our own rich trauma history, right? And so it's a bunch of people in the room, and we all have trauma responses. And your body doesn't assess threat post-trauma based on the severity of the conflict. Like, you will have a stress response when you feel lack of belonging. Someone could like make a snide remark at you, and like all of a sudden you're in your vein. And so like, just like on a biological level, like we don't discern the difference between when our life is at stake and when we're in a conflict about an email that didn't get responded to. Like, for real, you know? I'm like ready to throw my laptop out. And
That's why I texted you.
That right there was like, I learned, you know what I'm saying, on my self-research, I learned something, and I completely forgot about it until Dolphy brought it up one day, and it's even to this day, it's still mind-blowing. And it was, trauma is an assault on your biology. And think about where folks are coming from and what they've been through and what they have been doing, what's been passed down to them for generations and generations.
The bodies remember. Yeah, that's real.
And they also remember as we build new pathways. So like for every time that you feel some type of way and then the conflict gets resolved in a positive manner, or you come like ready to fight and the person responds with love and care, like every rep you get like that starts building new pathways for you. And so I think it's really important that, like, despite how small the conflict might feel in comparison to the big work that we're all committed to, like those are the ways that we build the strength and the muscle to respond to those bigger things differently. And so I think about it like, if I can feel in my own body what it feels like to get free with you in a small conflict, like I can feel what it feels like to like struggle and cooperate with deep radical love for one another. I can also imagine a world for all of us that looks like that. Like my actual, my ability to imagine something different for all of us is connected to my own ability to feel it in my own body at a small scale. Like when I have those mini moments.
I was like, it's counterintuitive, right? You'd think that because we deal with such severe harms and things like that, that if we can address those, then all the other stuff would fall in place. But the truth is, like, it's the smaller things that actually give us the ability to hold the larger things. You know, like that's what I was when I was hearing you say it, that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, like that's the work. Yeah. And I think it's also emblematic of what this work really is, which is it's internal work. It's you work. Yeah. It's like being able to learn those things and learn those triggers and learn how to deal with those trauma responses so that you can actually show up well to hold other people.
Just stay in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And I, similar to you, like when I did not want to ever do therapy or healing work. I remember when I was on probation and my dad was like, I think you should go to therapy. You know, like, I feel like you should go to therapy. Like we're fighting a federal case with you right now. And I feel like you made some poor choices in your life. You should probably go work that out. And I was like, I don't need therapy. I didn't want like that. It wasn't at all the thing that felt appealing to me. My friend the other day was like, remember when you didn't like healing? Like, remember when you used to clown all of us for that stuff? Like, look at you now. But the only thing, the invitation for me into healing work was an opportunity I had to be in a politicized healing group. And in that group, the like selling point, like I remember reading the little thing. And actually one of the people that did it is one of our facilitators in Heal Now. And she was like one of my first teachers, Stacy Torres. And in the little tagline, it was like, we do this so that we can stay in the work. Like we do this so that we can be better organizers, like that we can keep our movements alive and healthy for the long haul. And that was like the thing that gave me permission. I was like, okay, well, if it's gonna make me better at this, then like, I guess I'll try.
I ain't doing this for me, I'm doing this for y'all.
I'm doing it for the movement. Exactly. but it like cracked this thing, you know, inside of me. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know all that was there. Like, I didn't know there was that much work to be done. And I feel like I've just scratched the surface.
I think sometimes the way it lands is like Dev was saying, it's like, it is the little stuff that prepares us for the big stuff. But it's like, sometimes I think the little stuff that we hide behind to ignore the big stuff. Yeah. So it's like we're, as an org, out here beefing about meeting in person versus virtual, or, you know, like, or hypothetically, or like if people are on time or not, because sometimes people are late. I don't know who that is.
We might track each other's location, but we don't know.
Something like that. But I think sometimes that is like because there's a like a bigger issue, right? Like it's like, are we talking about our attention to like what's happening with Black people in our space? Like, are we talking about what's happening with people coming home? Are we talking about like a lack of resources? Are we talking about those bigger things? And sometimes I think those things feel so big that it's like, yo, you were late. So I
can't end racial capitalism, but you can respond to my damn email.
Exactly.
Like, I have power to do something here, so this is where I'm gonna flex it.
Yeah, I'm gonna move in this way because I'm here, you know, like, and it's that balance between healing and professionalism too. It's like, we're here to do a job, we're here to do a thing, so you can bury yourself in those things, and then the bigger stuff, it doesn't seem less scary, but you can numb it out a little bit. You can put it on pause for a second. Really, you don't, but it just keeps getting bigger. But it is what you do. It is easy to, you know, I've been saying a lot lately, like, I'm matching energy. I'm showing up in space and matching energy a lot. It's not great. but it's like the healing work, like the work that we do, has created a space where I recognize that I'm matching energy. So sometimes that means I'm not talking. Because if I am, you know, like, it depends on what energy are you coming at me with. If you're coming at me with some healing, loving energy, and we're talking about this bigger picture and the thing that needs to be talked about, then that's a vibe. If you're checking me because I'm late, it's not the vibe. It's not, you know? But so it's, I don't know. It's a balance, but it is the little things, I think, that at least what I feel like in the last year, the little things that have tripped us up.
It's the little things that
have been the focal point.
Exhaust you.
You know, all of us, like, I think we believe in the power of love and like community, and we can like say those things and then also like show up in a messed up way or treat somebody bad, and like, so we have to keep doing that inner work. And so much of our work, I feel like, goes along with spirituality and stuff, and like forgiveness, you know, acknowledge, forgive, and like move forward. We're gonna have to keep doing that over and over again.
I want to wind us down. We can like kind of do a checkout, but before we do, I want to shout out this food. This Trinidadian food was bomb. We smashed it all before we got the cameras rolling. And I want to shout out who prepared this for us, and where can folks get some of this?
This is Pam's Kitchen.
Shout out Pam's Kitchen.
North Seattle.
North Seattle. Everybody, if you're in Seattle, definitely check out Pam's Kitchen. So we're going to go around the table just to wind down. And it could be a phrase, a quick reflection, a word of either where are you, what are you taking from this space, how are you leaving this conversation?
Yeah, I'm leaving how I came, with gratitude. I think about how fortunate and blessed I am to have been able to move into a space like this fresh out of prison. Like, I went from prison to in this community. And through all of it, times I've felt like leaving or whatever it might be, whatever with my personal journey, the fact that I always knew that whether I worked here or not, I have a community is more than I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
And like an intentional community that's filled with love and isn't upheld by violence, I guess I would say. And so just an extreme gratitude for everybody in this space, for the folks that aren't here, that we build with every day, for our community partners, for the folks, and real quick, like we talked about a little bit, like the folks on the inside, but there was community members who are coming inside, allowing us to meet and loving us. And for me, I thought about this a couple of days ago, like that was restorative justice before I knew what restorative justice was people who had been survivors of violence and were coming in so that we could meet and loving on us and and seeing our humanity and telling us that we were more than the things that we had done, and we actually had the courage to believe it. And from that, our opportunities like heal and like education and camaraderie and brotherhood that wasn't based on violence but was actually based on love. Just an immense gratitude of the path that God has put me on, because I didn't, I don't know how to say, like, I feel like I didn't deserve it, but I did deserve it. You know what I mean? So yeah, just immense gratitude. Immense gratitude.
Yeah, I'll check out with the gratitude for Devon. Devon, co-founding member of the org, president of the Black Prisoners Caucus. When we were inside, worked in the PAB building, where they developed a program with University Beyond Bars, and so that people like me could get my associate's degree. Organized with the Concerned Lifers organization, so that we could get folks like Martina and everyone inside and, have our circles. And yeah, did so many other things for us. Long-time organizer, long-time leader. And just want to, close out with the gratitude for Devon. Devon Adams, the Devonair.
I just want to express immense gratitude for everyone at this table, and like for so many of us, this is our life's work, and to be able to like work somewhere where like it doesn't feel like work because it's natural and it's like building and creating the world that we want to see. Like, I'm just super grateful to be here, for this to be part of my journey, and excited to see like where we go and how we grow.
I think the thing for me is like I feel at peace with everyone in this room. I had anxiety last night, but I could look out and see Nicole and Lupe and Jess, and walking in here, like I didn't feel any type of way about the cameras being on or off, because all of these people are sitting here, and I feel very at peace anytime I'm in any space with all of y'all. And that's new. That's not been my story my whole life either. So it is nice to walk in a room and feel at peace and feel safe. And I feel that in real time all the time with all of these folks.
I'll say leaving lighter. Yeah, it's been heavy. Kind of like how I opened up, saying the answer this morning. It's been heavy. Definitely feel lighter, and the crazy part about that is it's always like that with these guys. I'm dead serious. No matter what space we're in, it's anytime you get around as individuals, one or two all together, you just always feel better. Real shit. I mean, it's been amazing since the moment I walked out the door, Matt, embraced me, supported me, and then to run into each, individual and being supported by them, it's every time, every single time. And I appreciate that. And I love you guys all for it.
I love you too, bro.
I think I'm leaving feeling hopeful. And someone asked me yesterday, we were at that thing we were at, like what my professional goals are. And I was like, I don't know, the same thing I'm doing with like maybe a little more time to garden and hang out with my mom. like just the same thing, is that bad? Like, should I have other goals? They were like, you should have like a long-term plan. I was like, this is my plan. but I mean that. Like, and that doesn't mean it will, you know, things will evolve and change and grow, but like, this feels like a life force for me. And I know I have like very unhinged optimism, but I want to see a world with nobody in cages and no war and no one getting raped and assaulted in their homes by the people they love. And I think that we are doing our very small abolitionist step to get there. Like, we are a very, very small part of the pie, but I feel like really proud that we can say we're part of a movement to get there. And when I'm dead and my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids live in a world with no one in cages, they can be like, my great-great-great-great-great-grandma was part of like having a vision that was way beyond their lifetime. And yeah, so I feel hopeful.
Well, with that, I just want to say I'm humbled and extremely grateful for the humanity that y'all have brought forth, the connections and support for how y'all hold each other. This idea of like collective raising is really speaking to me, in this building new pathways and healing our biology and our spirits together. And, you know, in this idea of 1 million experiments, we don't tend to put anyone as an example or the poster child, and y'all are not claiming to be that.
No, don't do that to us.
And so I'm not saying that's what it is, but I don't want to underplay how significant and how important the love and the commitment that y'all bring together is, not just for this space in this city, but literally for our world. And y'all are the embodiment of the new world that we want. And so I want you to know that y'all are seen and felt, and I have a deep, deep admiration for y'all's commitment. So thank you so much for the work that y'all do, and much love to you all and to your community.